Welcome to the Virtual Strategic Solutions Virtual Reality Simulation System. Accessing Legacy Dataset. Files loaded. Simulation ready. The farms are a practical manifestation of the Thala Act, under which private farmers would come to the Mojave Wasteland to farm the land for the new California Republic government in exchange for the NCR's military protection and to protect their investment, as well as a portion of the crop yield going to Camp McCarran, Hoover Dam, and other military locations in the Mojave. Along with protection, the NCR offers housing, food and water to New Vegas's sharecroppers, who tend crops on a large swath of land southeast of Freeside's East Gate. All the water arrives via a pipe system that pumps water from Lake Mead for the irrigation, taking it several miles to reach the sharecrop farms. The Office of Science and Industry in Camp McCarran also pre-calculates the amount of water needed for every crop to produce optimal crop yield with the least amount of water used. A military unit is present on the premises at all times to deter theft of foodstuffs. By 2281, the farms are producing a good amount of crops of all kinds, including maize and even tobacco, in spite of water rationing and bad soil. There are even plans to increase water flow and number of farms in the next few years in an attempt to get the New Vegas residents to vote for annexation in the NCR. Currently, some of the workers are experiencing poor crop growth because of radiation seeping into the ground from an unknown source. To top of the radiation problems, someone has been siphoning water, which in turn left the farmers with only 80% of the intended water ration. Corporal White was investigating this on his own time, but has since disappeared after going to Westside. The future of the farms is threatened by these concurrent events. Despite the legitimate complaints of the famers, all the staff in charge of the farms believe the farmers to simply be incompetent. The NCR has consistently ignored a recent water shortage and soil quality at the farms caused by Westside and Vault 34. With just 80% of their water ration, many farmers are struggling to meet their quotas and risk losing their jobs or plan to outright quit. Found working on his crops in the southwestern part of the farms, Trent Bascom is one of the critics of the NCR's approach to farmers at the Sharecropper Farms. Originally making a living in the hub, Trent moved to the Mojave after the Thala Act was enacted. He mentions getting by on growing maize and tobacco, though the recent water shortages give him no end of troubles in meeting his quota. Ignored by NCR authorities, he is prepared to give up sharecropper farming and move back to California. He considers moving to Redding to work with Brahmin, even though he hates working with the animals. Anne is a farmer that signed on to become part of the Thala Act, which required her to move from her rural fields to the sharecropper farms. However, she is fed up with the alarmingly diminishing amounts of water available to grow crops with, and is planning to leave as a result. Morgan Blake is just one of the many sharecroppers working under the Thala Act to bring food and crops to the Mojave Wasteland. Unlike her fellows, she's concerned by the water shortage and has a vague notion that it might be caused by something seeping into the water. A trooper serving in the NCR Army since 2279, Private Ortega ensures the safety of the farms. Mostly this means patrolling and taking potshots at molar rats. She is thankful for the posting regardless, as it is safe. Like her superior, Lieutenant Romanowski, she believes any complaints by the sharecroppers are the result of incompetence, rather than genuine lack of resources. Romanowski is the man responsible for providing military protection to the farms and sharecroppers to prevent unauthorized procurement of foodstuffs. In other words, he stops wastelanders from stealing crops. By his own admission, he isn't much of a thinker. He focuses on his job and doesn't spend too much time deliberating on things outside his area of expertise. Soldering. He does have a tendency to dismiss people he thinks are doing a subpar job without giving it much thought, like farmers complaining about a water shortage, or Corporal White, who tried to figure out the water shortage. His opinion of White as a glory hound certainly affected his decision. Speak to Morgan Blake. If she is not tending crops on the farm, she may be in the sharecropper barracks. She says that crops are faring poorly and thinks there may be something in the water. Blake will ask the courier to investigate the East Pump Station to find the source of the contamination. Agreeing to help her begins the quest. Another way to begin the quest is by directly going to the pump station or the main terminal below the Overseer's office of Vault 34 and reading the SOS entry. Travel east along the pipe to the East Pump Station, enter the larger building, the door marked East Pump Station rather than East Cistern, and activate the terminal on the desk. It has a damaged network connection which must be restored, 50 science skill required, before it will activate properly. Once the terminal has been repaired and activated, read the message marked Warning. The message tells the player about a problem the pumping station is having with radiation contaminating the pipes. If one has not already visited the farms and received this quest, reading this message will cause it to start. Before proceeding to Vault 34, it is wise to make adequate preparations. The vault, as well as the area directly in front of it, is saturated with radiation. Large amounts of Rad-X and Radaway will be necessary. Alternatively, as most of the enemies inside do not respawn, one may periodically go to a doctor to have radiation removed. However, one must keep an eye on the rad gauge at the top right of the screen, making sure one is out before its maximum is reached. There is an average locked safe with about a dozen Rad-X and Radaway inside the vault clinic. Note that even with high radiation resistance, the courier will frequently be taking a minimum of +1 rads per second, as rad resistance is capped at 85%. The vault is full of feral ghouls, and the corridors are constricted. Some areas are underwater. Armor with a high damage threshold and/or radiation resistance is strongly recommended. New enemies will frequently spawn or otherwise appear behind the courier from areas already traversed. Vault 34 had severe problems with overpopulation, compounded by an overstocked armory. To access and loot the armory, the Vault 34 security terminal, the Vault 34 utility terminal, and the Overseer's terminal must be accessed. If one has insufficient science skill to hack the very hard terminals, the first 2 passwords can be found on the ghoulified corpses of vault technicians that lay underwater. The Overseer's door is unlocked through the terminal in the security room. To access the security room, activate the terminal in the utility room, located next to the entrance to the armory, and select Activate Pump to drain the flooded level. The clinic, first door before the Overseer's room, has an average locked wall safe containing 11 Rad-X and 8 Radaway. These supplies can prove useful as there is a lot of radiation in the next rooms. Head back to the Overseer's door and kill the Overseer waiting inside. The Overseer is a boss-type creature with very high health. As soon as the door to his room is opened, he will engage, together with 2 Vault-Tech turrets in his room. The door to the small corridor leading up to the Overseer's office will close momentarily. At least 2 hostile ghouls will spawn behind it and engage the player from behind. Space is very tight, and companions will likely obstruct the player's maneuverability. The Overseer's paving sometimes gets caught momentarily on his platform, affording the player a few seconds to unload freely. Note that like all turrets, the Vault-Tech turrets explode when destroyed. They should be the player's first target, as they do a great deal of damage across their field of fire encompassing the entire room, and the explosion from destroying them will also damage the Overseer. The terminal at the back of the Overseer's office accepts the password he drops to unlock the armory door. The armory has lots of useful equipment. Several suits of Vault 34 security armor and helmets, a combat knife, 10mm pistol, many 10mm SMGs, a sniper rifle, an assault carbine, the All-American, a marksman carbine, a minigun, a riot shotgun, a missile launcher, missiles, 2 grenade launchers, a few C4 plastic explosives, and the pulse gun, inside a very hard-locked chest, can be opened with a key found in Pearl's barracks. Descend beneath the Overseer's desk to the reactor room. Past the dripping corridors, there is a room with half-flooded stairs. In the back, to the left of the stairs, there is a large red and grey mainframe terminal. The terminal gives information about opening a reactor door, closing the exterior vents and rerouting vault control. Reading the SOS message makes the alternative quest ending available. Open the reactor door to the left of the terminal that unlocks it. There are 2 vault technicians transformed into glowing ones in the room. Kill them and access the computer terminal in the room. The key to unlock this terminal can be found on the Overseer's body. It presents the final choice as to how to end the quest. Human vault dwellers are trapped in the unreachable underwater side of the vault. Either disable the reactor removing the radiation contaminating the NCR Sharecropper Farms, or reroute control of the computer system to the vault dwellers. Enter the command first through the terminal in the reactor room, then backtrack to the mainframe terminal in the previous room to confirm the command. After one of two resolutions is chosen, no further commands can be entered through the terminal. Neither decision gives the player character karma, but choosing to help the sharecroppers will result in a reputation gain with the New California Republic and 100 XP. If one chooses to help the dwellers, they will earn 150 XP. The rescued Vault 34 dwellers, led by Horowitz, will travel to the Aerotech Office Park east of Camp McCarran, taking up residence at Suite 300. It takes them about a day or two to make their way there after being freed by the player. Dialogue with Horowitz offers the option to request a Vault trinket, but normally no item is added to the player's inventory. Occasionally a food sanitizer may be added to the player's inventory when this option is selected. Simulation completed. Please exit the pod or have a technician select another file.